rain soaked the empty streets of Portland before sunrise. Under the dim light of a closed grocery store, Emily Parker pulled her coat tighter around her young son, trying to shield him from the cold wind. At 42, life had carved deep lines into her face, not just from age, but from loss, fear, and endless nights without rest. Noah, 6 years old, slept curled against her chest, coughing softly. A few steps away, Lily, her 17-year-old daughter, stood with her back against the wall, eyes fixed on every passing shadow. She had learned quickly how to stay alert, how to read danger in silence, how to grow up too fast. Everything collapsed after Mark, Emily's husband, died in a sudden workplace accident. What followed was ruthless. Medical bills, rent overdue, eviction notices taped to the door. Shelters offered beds, but not together. Lily was considered too old. Emily chose the street instead of separation. Keeping her children close was the last thing she still controlled. When morning came, a security guard asked them to leave. Emily nodded without arguing. She packed their few belongings into worn backpacks and started walking. The city woke up around them, people rushing to work, cars honking, life moving forward as if they were invisible. Near a small pharmacy, a familiar voice stopped her. "Emily." She turned slowly. Standing there was Mrs. Eleanor Whitman, a refined older woman with silver hair and kind eyes. She had been a close friend of Emily's grandfather, Henry Collins, back when Emily spent her childhood summers in a small town near the Appalachian Mountains. Eleanor looked at the children, then back at Emily, without judgment, only concern. She invited them into a nearby diner. Hot coffee, warm food. Emily hesitated, then agreed. As Noah ate hungrily and Lily relaxed for the first time in days, something inside Emily cracked open. Eleanor asked simple questions: where they were staying, how long they had been struggling. Emily tried to soften the truth, but Lily spoke honestly. Months without a home, no help, no direction. Then Eleanor said something that changed everything. Henry never sold the family property. He passed away 2 years earlier, leaving a neglected house and a sealed structure on the mountain land, officially closed since the 1940s by government order. The inheritance was legally Emily's. Notices had been sent, but she was never found. The deadline to claim it was approaching fast. Emily felt dizzy. A house, land, responsibility, risk, hope, all at once. As they left the diner, the world felt unstable, like thin ice beneath her feet. She didn't know if this was a miracle or another trap, but for the first time in a long while, the future wasn't just a locked wall. It was a door, old, rusted, but still standing. The trip toward the Appalachian foothills began that same afternoon. Emily sat quietly on the bus, watching Portland fade into long highways and distant trees. Noah pressed his face against the window, excited by the mountains rising in the distance. Lily stayed silent, arms crossed, afraid to believe that anything good could last. Mrs. Whitman spoke during the ride, sharing pieces of Henry Collins's past. He was a quiet man, respected in the small mountain town, but deeply changed after the war. After Emily's mother died, Henry withdrew even more. There was always talk about the old structure on the land, sealed by authorities, never explained. He only said it was not meant to be opened. When they arrived, reality hit hard. The house was barely standing, cracked windows, sagging porch, weeds swallowing the yard. Still, Emily felt something steady beneath the decay. It was theirs. Mrs. Whitman had prepared one clean room, enough to rest. That night, the children slept in real beds. Emily watched them, afraid that waking up would take it all away. The next morning, they visited the county office. The paperwork confirmed the inheritance, but with warnings. The house was marked unsafe, and the land held restrictions due to historical federal activity during the mid-20th century. Outside the building, a black pickup truck rolled to a stop. A man stepped out, confident, well-dressed. Daniel Crow. He represented an energy company interested in the property. His tone was polite, calculated. He spoke of soil risks, safety concerns, legal trouble. He mentioned Noah's health, Lily's future. Then he made the offer. Enough money for a fresh start, a small home back in the city, medical care, college funds, stability. Emily asked for time. Daniel agreed, but his eyes warned her the offer would not wait forever. That evening, Emily chose to walk up the mountain path. Lily followed, phone in hand, recording without knowing why. At the top stood a reinforced wooden building, rusted chains, a faded government notice barely readable. Carved into the door were simple words, "When truth matters more than fear." Emily felt a chill. This was no accident. This place had been waiting. As they turned back, Lily noticed the black truck parked between the trees below, watching, waiting. That night felt endless. The wind pushed through the cracks in the old house, making the walls groan as if the place itself were warning them to leave. Emily lay awake on the mattress, eyes fixed on the dark ceiling, replaying every word she had read inside the mountain structure. The names, the dates, the lies carefully written to look like truth. The phrase carved into the door echoed in her thoughts, growing heavier with each passing hour. When truth matters more than fear. By sunrise, her decision was made, even if her hands trembled while making it real. Mrs. Whitman begged her to reconsider. She spoke softly, but her words carried decades of fear. She told Emily about men who never raised their voices, about documents that disappeared, about accidents that were never accidents. She said Henley had chosen silence to protect his family, to keep Emily's mother safe when she was still alive. Emily listened with respect, but also with a painful clarity. That protection had come at a price paid by others, and now that price was being offered to her children. They climbed the mountain once more. The path seemed steeper, the air heavier. Lily followed closely, recording everything with her phone, her face pale but determined. When the chain finally broke, the sound echoed through the forest like a warning shot. Inside, the place felt frozen in time. Dust coated every surface, but the intention behind the space was clear. This was not abandonment. This was concealment. Emily opened drawers, scanned documents, pieced together a story that had been deliberately erased. Workers recruited under false promises, hazardous operations hidden behind patriotic language, deaths written off as illness or misfortune. She felt sick realizing how organized it all had been. The letter from Henry shattered her. He wrote about regret, about fear, about watching neighbors disappear and choosing silence because speaking would have meant losing his daughter. He asked for forgiveness, not just from Emily, but from history itself. Footsteps outside snapped them back to the present. Daniel Crow stood in the doorway, flanked by two men. His voice was calm, almost bored. He spoke of violations, of endangerment, of how quickly a call could be made to social services. He glanced at Lily, then at Noah. The message was clear. That night, the intimidation became real. The electricity went out without warning. A truck circled the property again and again, headlights cutting through the darkness like blades. Noah cried until exhaustion took him. Lily sat with her knees pulled to her chest, shaking, whispering that she was scared. Emily felt the weight of every choice pressed down on her. She imagined taking the money, a warm apartment, safety, silence. She imagined losing her children because she chose to fight ghosts from the past. For the first time, doubt overwhelmed her. She wondered if courage was just another word people used when they had nothing left to lose. But as she sat there, holding her children close, she understood something deeper. This fear was not meant to protect them. It was meant to control them. And if she gave in now, that control would never end. Outside, the truck finally stopped, and the silence that followed was more terrifying than the noise. Emily knew the next step would change everything. Morning arrived quietly, almost respectfully, as if the night itself understood what was at stake. Emily had not slept, but her fear had settled into something firmer: resolve. She gathered Lily and Mrs. Whitman at the worn kitchen table and laid everything out: the documents, the recordings, the letter from Henry. There would be no running this time. Through one of Mrs. Whitman's old contacts, they reached Sarah Miller, a civil rights attorney based in Pittsburgh, known for reopening historical labor abuse cases tied to corporate misconduct. Sarah listened carefully, then drove in person to see the evidence. When she finished reading, her expression said everything. This was real, and it was big. The pressure escalated quickly. Daniel Kroll called again, his voice sharp, no longer polite. He warned Emily that legal battles drained people dry, that courts favored money and time, and his company had both. But the story was no longer just hers. Word spread through nearby towns. Elderly residents recognized names in the files. Long silences broke. Grief that had been carried alone for decades finally had a place to land. The case reached federal court. Investigations were reopened. Environmental surveys confirmed contamination. Records tied the land to forced labor programs disguised as patriotic efforts during the mid-20th century. The company denied responsibility, then shifted tactics, offering settlements. This time, Emily did not stand alone. Survivors' families stood beside her. Operations in the area were halted. Funds were set aside for reparations. It was not perfect justice, but it was acknowledgement, and acknowledgement mattered. Months later, the house no longer felt like a ruin. The roof was repaired. The walls were solid. Lily returned to school and began documenting testimonies from older residents, turning silence into history. Noah's health improved, his laughter filling the yard where fear once lived. Emily transformed part of the property into a small retreat for women and children facing displacement, not a charity, a bridge, a place to breathe before moving forward. The sealed structure on the mountain was preserved, not hidden. The radio was repaired, not to monitor, but to tell stories. Voices once erased now traveled freely through the air. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees, Emily thought of her grandfather. He had protected the truth by hiding it. She honored him by revealing it. Different choices, same love. Some stories end with wealth, others end with peace. This one ended with dignity. If this story moved you, share in the comments what choice you believe you would have made in Emily's place. Follow the channel for more powerful stories where courage, memory, and truth refuse to stay buried.